about you with Youconomics. So today we're going to be talking about monopoly, aka marking the first major topic in our series, and this happens to be Nolan's expert topic as opposed to mine. My only real experience with monopoly would really be playing the board game when I was younger, which now through study I guess makes a lot more sense than what I'm saying monopoly.
It's actually quite accurate.
Yeah, you're trying to get everything within your own ownership, dominate the market, and exercise that kind of power. Which, now that I'm saying, sounds so fancy for a game that I nearly killed my siblings over. But as a whole, I guess that really sets us off on the right track, the idea of consolidating ownership. Okay, but what exactly is a monopoly? So monopoly is derived from the Greek word monopolium, whereas monos means single and polium means sell. So monopoly is a market structure and is a part of the market structure category of imperfect competition, where there is a sole seller, aka mono, sole, poly, seller. So in this case, there is effectively no competition between firms in a monopoly because there is the only one dominant firm. That is because, again, theoretically, there's only the one seller, but in reality, it's a bit different. Essentially, if a firm has over 25% of the market share, they can exercise monopolistic power where they have the same power as there only being one seller. So, duly, the monopoly, unlike firms in perfectly competitive markets, is in a position to raise the price of its products and retain some portion of the sales. In other words, a monopolistic firm or a firm with monopoly power is a price maker, not a price taker.
So today, essentially to look at monopoly, we're going to go through the case study of the De Beers diamond industry.
How fancy.
Diamond company. So, not for us, for many people though, within the world of business and specifically within the world of the diamond industry, De Beers has been the preeminent name. At its peak, the De Beers empire stretched from the southern tip of Africa to northern Siberia. It's very English-y, but it's a bit posh. So De Beers basically controlled about 90% of the world's diamond industry in 1902, and continued to hold a monopoly within the industry for over a century. An industry that, according to Stein in the De Beers Group, was worth $6.8 billion by 1999. The De Beers Group was first founded in 1888. And are a perfect example of a monopoly based on resource control, which is one of the many forms of how you can create a monopoly. In small-scale diamond mining, basically within the diamond industry, for mining, it is necessary to merge together and cooperate in order to share both infrastructure and to channel and distribute your product.
Yeah, so it's just a huge cost if you were almost doing individually. Okay, I completely get you.
So when diamonds were first discovered in South Africa back around the 1880s, De Beers took advantage of this tradition and amalgamated all the small mines that were being set up throughout the country. And as aforementioned, by 1902, De Beers had then controlled 90% of all diamonds that were being produced, and thus were able to control how many diamonds were supplied to the market according to the demand of diamonds. That's essentially what being a price maker is.
Yeah, so they manipulated the market and they control the price. Ridiculous stuff.
So that brings us basically to the first topic, which is barriers to entry. Because De Beers had such monopolistic power, they were able to prevent any firms from entering a market or industry. As you can see with the definition of what a barrier to entry is below.
So this is going to be a quick fire round about barriers to entry. The first one being statutory monopoly, aka where other firms might not be allowed into this industry because the government confers on a firm the sole right to supply a particular good or service. For example, here or there, the most reliable industry in the world.
And then there's another one like an ownership of patent or copyright. So if a firm has the sole right to the manufacturing process, then no other firm can compete with it, and until the patent has expired, which is normally about 20 years, is it? So
yeah, I think it's around 20 to 30 years in most jurisdictions in the EU anyway. But I know, patents always get my coat. I can't stop thinking about the patents on certain medications, and even if you were to look, not within the EU, but in America, where there's the patent on the production of insulin, it's been driven up the price. Ridiculous stuff, but anyway, monopolies. Another barrier to entry would be the sole rights to raw materials. So a firm might have complete control of the resources of the essential raw materials. For example, oil-driven companies, they own the oil, they're the sole company able to actually exercise power over the supply, therefore they are a monopoly.
That should be easy to understand after the De Beers case study, which is a perfect example of sole rights to raw materials. Or large capital investment is another one. Like when some industries, the minimum size of a firm required to operate efficiently is so large, then there's no room for other competitors. So once a firm has established itself, effectively no other competitors can get into the firm.
Entirely. And then there's also the one of mergers and takeovers, where a firm kind of ensures their survival by merging with other rival firms in the same line of business, to the point where it becomes monopolistic and there's no competition within the civic industry. So it's like they've taken over to the degree where no one is looking to enter that market anymore.
And then finally, firms can gain monopoly power if through brand proliferation, where like this is mainly due to consumers who are convinced through advertising that there is no suitable alternative to their particular brands.
Should I go down on the serve for almost 6 class?
So, as always, and as is the theme of the video, we're going to go back to De Beers and speak about how they lost their monopolistic power. And as you know, in the 20th century, right up until about the 1980s, 1990s, De Beers held about 90% of the market power. But now in the present day, and back in 2012, De Beers' market power dropped to about 40%. And this was done specifically because countries such as Russia, Canada, Australia had a backlash against De Beers and chose to stop cooperating with their single channel system. And as for that, for the first time in over a century, the diamond industry was
arguably free again, no longer prone to that monopoly of De Beers.
It wasn't De Beers that drove the diamond prices, but it was actually just the supply and demand, and went back to the essential, like the
more competitive style of market.
The classic style market. So, similar to how there are multiple barriers to entry, there's also multiple ways that governments can combat monopolies. And Hugh's going to talk about like the 4 main ways policymakers can choose to combat monopolies.
So number 1 being make monopolies industries more competitive, like Russia, Canada, and Australia did by refusing to cooperate with De Beers' single channel system. They can also regulate the behavior of monopolies. They can nationalize, like they would turn private industries into public enterprises, or they can just kind of do nothing with kind of the whole laissez-faire approach. But I guess it's worth breaking these down so they're more like understandable in a more concrete sense. So number 1, monopoly industries more competitive. Most industrialized countries have a process to legally kind of prohibit mergers or activity by firms with market power that is against the public interest, where they would kind of amalgamate to form that market power. So within the EU, each country is able to enforce its own competition authority internally, but as a whole they comply with EU regulation, EU standards whenever there is a proposed merger of companies across borders. So the competition legislation of the EU is broken down into 3 main areas. They act against cartels that partake in business practices which prevent free trade, aka monopoly power. Regulate anti-competitive pricing strategies like price fixing, price gouging, predatory pricing, any of those things that would result in kind of monopolistic firm or monopoly power being exercised by a firm. And then they also supervise joint ventures, so they can make sure that they're all within the public interest and that it wouldn't be impact them in re-establishing monopoly power and keeping the market competitive through those regulations. Honestly, love the EU, always in influence. But then number 2, which is kind of regulating the behavior of pre-existing monopolies. So when they're unable to introduce competition due to it not being economically feasible, such as with more natural monopolies, like the idea of De Beers laying on the framework being so big that no other firm can kind of come in and lay the same framework. But instead, the governments will opt to set prices. So, for example, within a natural monopoly, what kind of price would they set? They could set it to the marginal cost for the public by the quantity of the monopolist output that maximizes the surplus, without any allocation of resources will then be sufficient. But then natural monopolies have a declining average cost, so the marginal cost is less than average cost. So the price is set to the marginal cost, the firm will lose money and exit the business, which might not actually be in the public interest. But then the other option is to subsidize the company to pick up losses of marginal costs, for example, American plane tickets. But then this can lead to taxation, which offsets the problem back to the consumer. But then further, this gives the monopolist like no real incentive to kind of lower the costs. For example, the UK electricity debacle, where they kind of lower the price, subsidize it, then there's the backlash and tax, where in the end the public interest is necessarily held because it has the impact on the consumer. And we figured where we talk about nationalising. So say for the governments to run the monopoly themselves, which doesn't sound problematic as a premise at all. So the good examples are kind of network industries like transmission, distribution of electricity, gas and water. Shout out to Morgosh. It would be kind of counterproductive to have competing sets of wires and pipes traversing the country. So in such cases, the best solution is to retain the national monopoly but through public ownership. And also it's a benefit because they need to be planned and organised centrally. And when it's in the hands of the government, it's argued that it's going to be a lot more in public interest. So say bus companies benefit with competition in popular routes, but then say the air coach for unpopular routes like bus air. But then this leads to problems of its own because firms are run by bureaucrats and politicians driven from power as opposed to being profit driven, which is arguably more predictable. But then finally, number 4, as you can see, with each kind of solution involving government intervention, it has complications and some drawbacks. But this leads to some economists and governments believing in more laissez-faire approach to monopolistic industries, where it's kind of like, let at them, they're ultimately going to maximize the surplus, and if we try and interfere, it's going to result in the backlashes and disadvantages that have just been outlined in a remarkably long-winded way from you.
Yeah, very long-winded.
Thank you.
Wow.
But as a whole, we hope that this has made the idea of monopolies infinitely more accessible to you, the viewer. We broke down the major structures in them, the barriers.
And if you want to learn more, we're going to put all the readings that we did for that, all the articles in the description below.
Functioning as an effective bibliography.
Or Matthew's also done the notes for it as well, so look down in there if you want to research any further.
But as a whole, we would just like to sign off and say thank you so much for listening, and that economics, it's about you.